Sales thoughts are things that I think need to be done, but they're not urgent, and I need to assess whether my team have the capacity to take it on or not.
One of the things that a lot of founders don't understand about their team is how long it actually takes to do a task. So there's a list that you see in Trello and you're like, oh, okay, they've only got 3 things on there. Those things may not have a fully articulated, these are the steps that it's going to take to do that. Yeah. This entire job is actually going to take about 8 hours. You're just like, I don't think that's a priority anymore. When poor Joed is like, that was going to take me 8 hours and I was ready to move on to that because it's really nicely going to complement this last thing that you pulled out of sales thoughts. So how am I going to fit that in and that? Okay, all right. Capacity, explosion, crying in the corner, and then burnout happens, sickness happens, nothing gets done. And you're like, my team, what am I going to do?
Hey there, and welcome to the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. If you're looking to get more sales, more customers, master your marketing, and ultimately take control of your retail or e-commerce business, then you're in the right place. I'm Selena Knight, a retail growth strategist and multi-award winning store owner whose superpower is uncovering exactly what your business requires to move to the next level. I'll provide you with the strategies, the tools, and the insight you need to scale your store. All you need to do is take action. Ready to get started? Hey there, and welcome to today's episode of the Bringing Business to Retail podcast. When it comes to innovation and creativity and building teams that can actually think for themselves, which, let's be honest, is what we all want, and think in a way where business growth is actually inevitable, then the only person that I ever talk to for things like that is my super smart friend, Alita Harvey-Rodriguez. Now, she is going to come on today's episode and talk to us about, she's going to call it incremental, what are you calling it?
Innovation.
Don't worry if you don't know what that means. I didn't know what that means either. She uses big words. And when she uses big words, I'm going to jump in and say, what the freaking heck does that mean? So she's super smart, and she is, we were just saying, when you get to a point in life and in business where you kind of forget to, I'm not going to say dumb things down, but you forget what it's like to be back at the beginning. And we use all this jargon in retail and e-commerce and, AOV and the POS. And someone asked me the other day what a POS was. And I'm like, you're in retail. Like, what do you call the thing at the checkout where you put your, oh yeah, my square. And I'm like, that's actually a POS. But we get so caught up, right, in where we are in business, or even sometimes where we are in life, that sometimes we forget that maybe everybody else who's listening doesn't know what the freaking heck we're talking about. So if I find you delving into that place where I actually am not 100% sure what you're saying, bear with me, Alita, because I'm going to say to you, just like dumb that down for me.
Please do. Now, first, I'm really excited for Square. They've taken over POS being a thing, and now it's like, how Australians are really good at calling brand names things like, can I get a Band-Aid instead of a plaster?
Or a Google, can I Google something? Like, you know that when your brand has become an adjective, no, a verb is a doing word. When your brand has become a verb, then you kind of made it. Yeah, like I'm going to Uber somewhere. Like
that, and when Siri autocorrect autocorrects to your brand name. Made
it. Did not happen for me. I had to laugh the other day. This is totally not even where the conversation is going, but I was in ChatGPT and I was asking it to rewrite my lessons. I was like, I just was literally writing, rewrite this paragraph in a more engaging way. And I would throw it a paragraph and it would come back with like better than what I wrote it. And so I thought, I'm going to like ChatGPT myself. And it was like, write an interesting paragraph about Selena Knight. And it went, error. And I was like, does that mean I'm not smart enough? Like, am I not like good enough for ChatGPT? But actually it was just broken. And I know what it would say about you. It'd be like, hey peeps, if you want to find the person who is going to make your team ridiculously amazing and grow your business pretty much without you even being there, then you have to go and speak to this lady. So I'm doing all the talking. Chica, who the heck are you? And what are we talking about today?
I'm Alita Harvey-Rodriguez, and I'm the founder and managing director of MI Academy, and we are Australia's most prestigious project-based training firm, and we work in retail and technology, helping to upskill teams in marketing performance, customer experience, organizational alignment, strategic creativity, which is the innovation piece, and then we've also got sales enablement programs, which is our tech side of the world.
Okay, so that's what you do. What are we talking about today?
Today, we're talking about something that I think is really important and is what is going to get us through whatever financial crisis we're heading into, which is incremental performance or incremental innovation. And really simply put, it is small changes that create impact over time. We don't need to be looking for huge, big, impactful changes. They might confuse customers at the end of the day. What if we just listened to our customers and made micro changes in order to meet what they want from us over time, and we don't need to break the bank doing it?
Oh, okay. That is super exciting. And it so falls in line with my philosophy, which is exponential growth. So that growth where you go from 100,000 to 1 million in 5 months, it doesn't happen because you change the freaking world. It happens because, like you said, you just tweak things in your business and the results compound. And whether it is money, whether it is growth, or whether it is team performance or innovation, we're not saying you have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. We're not saying you need to ingest or inject millions of dollars worth of capital or cash. What we're saying is you probably have a lot of what you need in your business right now. Maybe you're just not using it to the fullest. So
100%.
Let's talk, first of all, let's just talk about why founders, because everyone who's listening here is probably, we're CEOs, but let's be honest, you founded the company for the most part. Why do we resist change and innovation?
Oh, man. Starts with the hairy questions. Well, I think, so we've just come off the back of a huge retail event that we run called Hat Games, which is an innovation incubator where we bring 50 of the top minds in retail together and give them a problem statement and give them innovation frameworks to come up with a solution to solve this problem. And then they pitch their solution at the end of the day with their cross-functional teams, and it's the best day ever. I'm
just going to jump in and say she made this sound like nerdy. What it is like faux Shark Tank, where she gives you a challenge and you have to create like a product and a pitch, and you get given a budget and stuff. And it is the most nerdy but fun thing because I have done it. And it's like everybody there, it's their happy place.
People are so nervous coming into it. They're like, don't know what to expect. And I make a joke with everybody that I'm going to take you into an escape room. It's not like that.
No, there's wine.
There's wine because, we call that creative juices. Mm-hmm. And we just have all the stuff that you wish you could do at work but can't do it because of bureaucracy or budget or whatever, just gets thrown out the window.
Yeah.
And you have this free reign. So off the back of Hat Games, I noticed there's 3 things that kind of happen when it comes to innovation, and why it's either founders are scared of it or they're trying to lead it and their team won't budge or can't budge. And this is where I landed. Did I say 3 things? I meant 4.
Okay.
Bonus.
Yeah. Bonus. 3 and a bonus.
Yeah. The first one is that there's no systems in place to give permission for innovation. So that's a staffing issue and a leadership issue.
Yeah. But even a self issue.
Oh, it's a self issue as well.
And like no one gives us our own permission to change because we get so worried that if we change, we'll lose our customers.
Yeah, exactly. And I think I've said on your podcast before when we talked about strategic creativity or applied creativity that it just comes down to lacking systems in order to do that. And systems and creativity sound ridiculous in what most people think creativity is. free reign, blue sky thinking, blah, blah, blah. But if you don't have like where you're aiming for and a system to go from brainstorm into actual delivered product or innovation, then you just either get stuck in ideas, which I call the idea vampires, these things that like, oh, remember that idea? Yeah, what happened to that? Oh, that'd still be good, but we'll just keep doing things the way we are because we don't have systems around us to support doing anything new.
Yes.
One. The second one, this one comes back to staff, and this happens usually in bigger organizations, and it's what I call underground innovation. Underground innovation is an idea that your staff member who might be swamped has come up with and has made a quick fix for themselves, trying to make something better or easier, but they haven't brought that into the surface because they either don't have permission, again, usually comes back to systems not being available, and they can't rise their underground innovation up into it being adopted by the company because, oh man, things
it's almost like accidental, isn't it? Or accidental.
Well, it's on purpose for the person who's done it.
Yeah.
But there's no way for it to get airtime because there's either no strategic light of where we're actually going for, or people have brought stuff up before and they've been shut down because there's no way to integrate it into what we're doing, and I can't see a way. And there's a leadership problem there, and there's also a bit of a change management problem there. Change management is a whole.
It could even just be a confidence problem, right? Like if you see,
yes.
I know that I've been in a position. I feel like that is me for so much of my like pre-self-employed life, because I look back now and I implemented underground systems because I did not want to drive to the other side of Sydney to pick up a piece of paper. And I'd be like, okay, so I'm going to create this Google Drive. This was like before Dropbox. I'm going to create this Google Drive just between you and I, like to our contractors. And you just put it in there. And then send me an email so I know it's there. And then I'll pull it out and I will like copy and paste it into the thing. And no one has to drive anywhere.
Underground Innovation 101.
Yeah, all that kind of stuff. And I did that so many times, but it was necessity, like you said. And I remember going to management saying, it is ridiculous that we have, I'm spending 3 hours on a round trip or they're spending 3 hours.
That's how we've always done things. That's how we've also always done things. It's just how it's got to be done.
You're making people look bad. That's what I got. That is actually why I left my government job is I was told.
Oh, that's your first problem.
You are making other people look bad.
Awkward silence. I've got no words.
No words. That was between that and being told that the only reason I was there was because the law said I had to be there. That was when I was out. I put my hands up and
gosh.
I went, no,
so
I'm
inspiring.
out. I know.
Why you
such a valued member of our community, of our workspace.
I've got no words other than wow.
Yeah, well, that is why we run our own businesses.
Gee whiz.
So we have the underground.
We've got no systems. That doesn't allow for permission for people to have space to innovate. And that was a big thing that we heard at Hack Games when we said, why did you apply? Because I can't be creative at work. I'm like you were experiencing, I'm just here to do a job. And that leads to so many cultural issues, high staff turnover, and just no innovation all around.
But the funny thing is, we're talking about the retail and e-commerce industry. A lot of your people are e-commerce, which by its own definition has to be constantly innovating. Like if COVID taught us nothing, it's like if you are not keeping up with change in the e-commerce and retail industry, then you are so left behind, and it is getting faster and faster and faster. So it actually surprises me that the people, let's be honest, the people you hang out with, smart people in smart companies, have this system. Do you think, I know you've still got 2 more to go, but do you think that this is and you work with some big companies and then you work with some middle-sized companies.
Yep.
We're not, generally it's not one person working on their own. They're, 7, 8-figure businesses, 9-figure businesses. Do you think that has happened as a result of growth within a company. It's kind of, or like it's the founder saying,
Yeah.
or the board saying, we want to be in control. Like, where do you think
it comes from two places? Yeah, so it comes from two places. It depends on the size of the company. So if we start with a medium-sized business that...
What do you call a medium-sized business?
I'm talking a business that is maybe turning over $2 to $30 million.
Okay. So yeah, some of the people who are listening here are in that realm.
That's right. So sometimes in that size of a business, the issue is that they've grown so fast and they don't have, and everybody is at capacity and they're working so hard. The thought of doing anything new is terrifying, and all they can think about is, oh my gosh, I have more work to do. I would love to do that, but how the F am I going to do more work? I'm just going to go and have a nervous breakdown in the corner, or ask for a pay rise, which I know I can't get. That happens a lot in that medium-sized business.
And even I think that transition from, say high six figures to seven, even, look, let's be honest, any of this transition is quite often at those up to that, 20, 30 million, people are still doing a lot of everything in a business. Like you 100%. Might be the chief marketing officer, but you might also have to pack some orders if it's Black Friday and 50,000 orders came. Like there's still this expectation that you're here for a thing, but you're also here to be part of the team and chip in and help when it's needed. So do you think that contributes to this problem?
Oh yeah, definitely. And again, that comes back to listening to the people who are, so for example, like in picking and packing, listening to the people that are in marketing and taking stock of what they're doing from a reactive work day and think about how we can possibly automate or move around our tasks so that we're focused on high value tasks and move the stuff that's in the fill-in and thankless tasks out of our way because they're not making positive impacts on the business.
Okay. I feel like I've just put you down like a completely different path. So I'm going to allow you to come back onto your own track. So we have two.
It's all part of the same thing because at the end of the day, innovation cannot happen without organizational alignment. Flat out. Yeah. And to get to that point, so if you want to start innovating today, the first thing that you need to do, I'm probably getting to the end of the podcast here, but the first thing you need to do is have some organizational alignment and customer alignment. First things, the organizational alignment piece is the hardest thing to do because you're dealing with different people's ideas about what their jobs are, how hard they think they're working, how much they're being paid, what they're spending time on. You're asking them to shift what they're spending time on. So then there can be this whole disruption of people thinking that, oh, I'm not valued at work if you don't want me doing this task again. And it can be like this very emotionally volatile, that's not the word that I'm looking for, but I'm going to use it, cesspool, which it shouldn't be. It's not a cesspool. It's the wrong word. But this, what do they call this? Incubators, like these chicken incubators where we're growing this new thing. It's a petri dish. All gross. But we're growing this new thing and it change is uncomfortable. It doesn't mean that anybody is not valued. It just means that there's going to be some growing pains to get us to utopia. We also it starts with a shared view of what utopia is.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we went through number 1 and number 2. Let's go back to 3 and bonus number 4.
Cool. All right. Founders are the innovators. Number 3 is founders are the innovators in organizations and they want their staff to be the same. But it's like, excuse my language, pushing shit uphill. Why aren't...
look, you and I, we're going to have the best conversation. We already are. But founders are generally visionaries. And if you haven't read the book, Rocket Fuel People, go and read it. You actually only have to read half of the book because it talks about how they're, for the perfect organizational yin-yang melding. If you're watching the video, it's making sense because I'm doing hand gestures. Alita's nodding. Yeah. For the perfect hierarchy even is you have to have a visionary, and that is the person who is coming up with the ideas, who's looking towards the future, That's probably you guys listening. And then you have to have the integrator. And the integrator is your operations manager. The integrator is the person who takes all of your ideas and makes them a reality. And everyone wants a freaking integrator, but there are only about 44% of the population who are great integrators. So finding one is like finding a unicorn. So you actually don't need another you. And that's what you're saying.
God, no, you do not need another you.
The world does not need two of you. Trust me. God help us if the world was two of me.
Wow. That's why I say when people look me up on LinkedIn, there's only one of me, Alita Harvey-Rodriguez. Look it up. Thank God. There's only one.
Yeah.
You only need one of you. But what you need, it comes back to you need a process to bring people along for the ride. Before you get to that process, you need to understand what the space is available, like team alignment, organizational alignment piece. You need to understand what the space is available to bring people along and fulfill that vision for you.
I have been in the past not very good at that. And I'm perfectly, painfully aware, to the point where in job interviews, hiring team, I will actually say, I'm really not good at doing this, this, and this. And I'll say, I'm really not good at, I don't know the right words for it, but basically sometimes I'll say no when the answer is, I haven't actually had a chance to think about it. And so if you want me to give you an answer right now, I'm actually really good at that, but I will default to no. And I don't need people who just say yes. I really need people who will say no, or I don't think that that's the best course of action. Because if everyone just goes along with what I say, holy freaking heck, I've been there. We're doing 50,000 things at once and everybody's brains are exploding. And so, like you said, having that framework and having the permissions and the parameters of this is where I'm at, and I think you have to be painfully honest. I'm going to come up with 50,000 ideas. I just need you to keep me in check and go, no, this is why we work in 90-day plans, right? No, sir. You told us we're working on this. You can work on that next 90 days. But
if it aligns with our overall objective, then we can talk about it. Love it, park it, put it in the brain dump in your project management tool.
Yeah. We actually have that. It's called Sales Great Ideas.
Sales Great Ideas. I love it. We call it sometimes, just the ideas icebox and things like that. And this, one of the things that can get really frustrating for founders is innovation isn't a quick win thing. It can be a quick win thing, but you need to get through the hard part first. And founders are always looking for the amount of times that we're doing audits, finding out about people's teams. And the thing is, the founders, I just want some quick wins. Okay, here's your quick wins that'll get you this much. But if we really want that next level of growth, that incremental thing that we're just constantly adding on 1% every time, not looking for that 180%, whatever it is, then we need you to understand that you need to slow down, to speed up, processes need to be put in place, and just be patient for a second. Don't jump into the next idea because you think this isn't working, because you will end up with an innovation vampire that's just cost you money and is sucking your blood. And you wonder, why isn't my team performing? Why doesn't my team take initiative?
Why are they getting nothing done? And
why are they getting done? They do fake work, wasted work. It's because
you're doing all day.
That's it. You're asking them to do something. You're saying jump. They're going, how high? And you're like, I don't know, jump. And then they start jumping and like, why are you jumping?
Yeah. That was like 3 days ago.
Yeah.
And I actually had the moment where, you know how that you have to have like that come to Jesus kind of moment. My moment, and this is why I am now so painfully aware, was walking into my stores. So this was quite some time ago, and saying, my team used to hate. I was listening to a podcast on the way here. And then you could see their face just like, oh, shit, what's she going to make us do now? And it would be like, I think we should blah, 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 blah. And I had this most amazing team member. Her name's Neely. And she literally just broke down into tears. And she's like, it's a great idea, but I can't. I'm like,
because they're in such a reactive space.
Yeah, and she's not nowhere to move. Do it. She's just like, what do you want me to stop doing to do this? Like, I don't have any more time or any more bandwidth. Like, I'm happy to do it. But I've also got 27 other things that you asked me to do for the rest of the month. Like, which one do you want me to focus on? And that was that moment. That's like the arrow in the heart of, I am the crappiest boss ever. And that is, maybe nobody else has had a moment like that, but if you make your team cry because they can't live up to your expectations, you know that you have to change as a leader.
They might also be crying. You might not be paying attention, which happens a lot. Oh, this person's just wanting more out of us. You know, these kinds of things happen as well, and I just can't give them any more. But there is structural problems there. Nobody has a North Star. They don't know what they need to do in order to get there, or they thought they did, but the bar just moved. The amount of times that we hear, oh, the bar keeps moving. If I can get any founder to understand anything right now in this, if you take one thing away, is to ground yourself, really deeply understand your 1, 3, and 5 year vision, and break up and be strict with yourself.
Yeah.
Have an ideas icebox, have sales great ideas. You know, just your team are terrified that they're not going to be good enough. It affects, then we talk about the effects on mental health. A lot of the work that we do, if we could just get paid, like with people saying, I'm happier at work because of the work that we've done now, because I feel heard, I feel seen, and I can get stuff done, and I see things come to fruition, that'd be great, but we can't. Just want to make sure that you're grounded and constantly, deeply, really listening to your team.
I think that's the biggest problem with founders is they don't actually know what they want. Or if they do, you said they're moving the bar all the time, but they don't ever articulate, this is what I want in the next week, or this is what I want in the next month, or this is what I want in the next year.
That comes back to the systems. Yep, there's definitely that. Founders are also quite good at telling you what they don't like and not what they do like, which is also an innovation. Oh no, this is a weird therapy session now, isn't it?
It does feel like a weird therapy session.
And you just need to just slow down for a second. Just in Spanish, we say tranquilo. Take it slow, tranquil, cool.
And imagine being tranquil. Like, I feel like that's where most of the energy comes from. But like I said, the thing is, I'm painfully aware of this. So I literally, like you said, in our project management, there's stuff that never gets assigned to people. Like, I put projects into not sales great ideas, but into, I think it's called sales thoughts.
There's two.
There's sales great ideas is actually locked and no one else can see it, because they're the things I put in because I think they're great ideas. And then you come back a week later and you're like,
that was so stupid. I read another blog. I heard another podcast.
Where does that fit in? But sales thoughts is usually like my work in progress. And so I will put things in there, and then I'll go off and I will look at the team. Like, I'll pull somebody up and see how much they have on their plate. And then I will decide whether something from sales thoughts can be assigned to them or not. So I know that I do this, and I've put my little steps in place to kind of, I guess, pull myself back into line. But I would love, did we get to number 4 yet? Because I would love some strategies. All right, tell me number 4, and then can we get onto some strategies that we can implement if everybody's nodding their head going, yeah, this is me.
Number 4 is like marketing budgets have been slashed, but targets have not. And marketers and people are freaking out about what can possibly be achieved. And this is really where that incremental piece comes into play. Can I make some comments on sales thoughts?
Go for it. Sales thoughts are the ones that are probably going to happen, as opposed to sales great ideas, just in case you were listening along going, I can't remember. Sales thoughts are things that I think need to be done, but they're not urgent, and I need to assess whether my team have the capacity to take it on or not.
Yeah. Okay. So there can be a problem in that.
Okay.
All right. One of the things that a lot of founders don't understand about their team is how long it actually takes to do a task. So you might look at your teams. She's laughing because she's like, oh no, again. So there's a list that you see in Trello and you're like, oh, okay, they've only got 3 things on there. Those things may not have a fully articulated, these are the steps that it's going to take to do that.
Yep.
This entire job is actually going to take about 8 hours. And you're just like, I don't think that's a priority anymore. When poor old, I don't know, let's call her Lena, I don't know.
Joanne.
Poor Joanne. So poor Joanne is like, that was going to take me 8 hours and I was ready to move on to that because it's really nicely going to complement this last thing that you pulled out of sales thoughts. So how am I going to fit that in and that? Okay, all right. Capacity, explosion, crying in the corner. Not saying that Joanne's going to do that, but, oh my God, how am I going to fit all this in? And then burnout happens, sickness happens, nothing gets done. And you're like, my team, what am I going to do?
When inside of my programs, when you build out a 90-day plan, because I am painfully aware, all of this makes sense to me because I have lived it. Inside of our 90-day plan, it's a spreadsheet that you build and you map out those tasks and you actually have to assign how many hours you think it's going to take.
Yes.
Because then all of a sudden you realize in 90 days, there's no way that we could physically do the 7 things that are on here. There literally are not enough hours in the day of somebody's life. In fact, so we're constantly renovating our house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we have a spreadsheet of things that we need to do that have times attached to them.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be like, tighten the screw on the fence, 10 minutes. So if we're ever in that kind of procrastination situation where you're kind of home, but you don't feel like working, you can pull up this spreadsheet. It sounds like I'm a control freak, but all of this is because I had no control.
Yes.
To me, this is just organization now. This is not control.
This is what we refer to as strategically creative. Because
creatives, there's a word for it. I love it.
That's right. Because creatives, I'm one and I'm preaching because I've had to do exactly the same as you, is take control over these things and organize chaos.
Yeah. Yeah. Because chaos is our heads, right? And we can't project that onto
chaos
other
is
people.
Our creativity.
It is. And so, so even our renovation, it have things like rebuild the back deck. I think it's got like 100 hours. I don't know how many hours it's going to take, but that's like a weekend after weekend after weekend.
Under that, there's micro tasks under all of that.
So we will do, if we decide to tackle that thing, then we'll break it down, my husband and I. But then we just have these lists of things that are just like random little things that might be anything from 5 minutes to maybe an hour or 2. And that just means if there's a weekend where we have a little bit of time, we're like, let's pull out the list and do we actually feel like doing that? And in our 90-day plans that we build out in our programs, it's exactly the same. It says, we're going to do this. Alita is going to do this part of it, and I think it will take her 7 hours.
Okay, so on that,
what
we want to say, I think it'll take Alita 7 hours. Alita has a lot more experience in fulfilling that task, and Alita's like, girl, you're crazy. That's going to take me at least 14 hours.
So we need to have that collaboration.
Yes, absolutely. Great. And right. It's an agile technique. Agile is a project management framework. People use the word agile. We're agile. That means you're moving fast and things are going all over the place.
Yeah. Agile floppy.
Yeah. Agile is a framework for project management and time scoring how long something is going to take in a collaborative nature for sprint planning, which is another framework that sits under the agile framework, is you use that information and then build it out and really get a deep understanding of what the entire journey of fulfilling that project looks like. And then you can start to if you get your whole big picture together, then you can go, okay, where do we need to really get to launch this thing? And then what are the bits that we can keep adding on it afterwards? So this is where that incremental piece comes in. Look at the big picture, collaborate and find out how long something's really going to take. Get a really good grip of the micro tasks that sit under those. Because if you come up with like email marketing for example, right?
No, I'm only laughing because I've heard the other side, but I've done the thing. So I know where you're going with this conversation. For all the people out there who are still like doing their email marketing or have employed someone to do it, listen to what Alita's about to say now.
I can go on all day about email, you know that, but I'm going to say, send out an email. Okay. I think that's going to take you 4 hours. Me, as the email marketing expert, goes, depends on how good the skills are of the person who's sending out that email. It can take anywhere from 8 hours to 4 hours. That's right. You've got a whole bunch of others micro steps that sit under that. You have got to go and potentially go and segment the list, which could take a good 30 minutes. If that segment is running correctly for you, we don't have to make any data updates. That could blow out to a 3-hour job on its own. We've got design. Okay, great. It might take me an hour to put that design together, but then I've got to go in for approvals and changes and everything. Okay, now it's looking at about 2 hours of everybody's time. We can probably reduce that a little bit if we do something what's called an extreme working session, where I'm designing and Sal's sitting there and approving it at the same time. Maybe we can get it done in an hour. Cool. Then I've got the copy writing to do. Great. Okay. So I've got to go and do the copy. That's probably going to take me another hour. Again, if Sal needs to approve that, then that's probably going to blow out to 2 hours. We can do an extreme session, bring that down to 1. That extreme session is a piece of the system that needs to be built. Then I've got to go and do the testing. Okay, great. I send out the test. Oh, crap. All the links are broken. Damn it. Okay, now I need to go back and rebuild that. That's going to take me another hour. I need to come up with the subject line. I need to do subject line testing. I'm going to go and test it with co-scheduler. Okay, so my whole email is probably going to take me in reality about 6.5 hours once I add up all of those micro tasks. Just go and send an email ain't going to help anyone.
Yeah. And also not just go and send an email, but not like even the part where the other person says, oh, when she said go and send an email, what she really meant, I think, was go and send this email to our VIP segment of people who have purchased in the last 3 weeks to give them this offer.
Mind reading. You're a mind reader.
So, I mean, you and I laugh because we've been there and we know that we do this, and you work with businesses all day, every day who are going through this exact same thing. So let's talk about some strategies that we can implement if we're sitting here thinking, oh my God, they're talking about me.
Yeah. All right. The first thing that you need to do is engage your people. And you need to get a shared vision of what you want to improve. That's the first thing. The second thing is with engaging your people, you really want to make sure that I encourage, before you go into this kind of thing, I encourage that you do some personality testing.
Because we have done so much talking about personality testing.
There's a
Which
whole.
one do you love?
Look, I think the easiest one to start off with is probably the 16 personalities, and that's a free one.
But yeah.
And then there is
I love Enneagram, because Enneagram we use Enneagram for any person who comes into our team, even if they're like a contractor, just the free version again, just to understand how they need us to communicate. Like for me, that's the biggest, because I work in dot points. Like Joed needs clarity. So so now that I know that, I always make the extra attempt to like put the extra information so that she doesn't have to come back to me. Elizabeth is really creative. So, and she actually can just read my mind. So most of the time I'm just like, blah, and she's like, oh, this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Definitely. Yeah. Great.
But if we understand how people, and we've had other people in the past that need to know why. And oh my God, that freaking drives me insane. It's like, you don't need to know why. You just need to get this thing done. And so when you understand how people work, one, you can adapt, but two, I think it gives you the knowledge, which means that the frustration is less about the person and more about the situation. So 100%. I'd be like, oh, okay, I'm talking to them. They need to know the why. I'm going to throw that in. It's probably not going to be enough, but then you have to have that conversation, which is like, this is all I'm going to give you. Like, you don't need anything more than that. If I believe you need more than that, I will give you more than that. But when everybody understands that communication type and style, you end up being able to just adapt that little bit so that there's less friction.
Yep. Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Full stop.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. Wait, can I just ask, when you go into this conversation, like having this conversation, who leads the conversation? Is the conversation led by what the founder wants, or is the conversation led by what the team wants?
It's a great question. Incremental innovation usually shouldn't be led by what the founder wants.
Why?
Because
It's my business. Do what
I know, I'm the visionary. It's because you're the visionary.
Mm-hmm.
You're not in the weeds doing the day-to-day work. You're seeing the big opportunities whilst your team is like trying to fix shit constantly, make stuff better, get stuff out, fulfilling the last version of your vision.
Yeah. Okay. I love that.
It also should come, so it should come from your customers.
Mm-hmm.
It should come from your people.
Okay. All right. I like that.
And there should be alignment between those two things.
And
there
I think
usually is.
You're right. As the founder, it sometimes feels like a slap in the face that people just don't understand what you like, or I don't know, like you've been there. Like, do you find the same thing? It's not that you resent them, like you're listening and you're taking it on board, but you know, in the back of your mind, it feels like someone's just kind of like come up and kicked you in the shins and run away.
Nobody respects me.
Nobody respects me.
Why am I even here anymore? Yeah. Ouch.
Yeah. But it's true. It's a good leader is
true.
about listening to the people and listening to what your customers want. And your customers are your team as well.
Your customers are your team are your team. And duh. What am I trying to say here? I just think this comes back to what you've heard as a founder is being customer first. So what has come out just recently, Maya here, they've just posted they've like consistently in the long time had consistent growth, which has not happened for a long time in Maya. And their CEO, John King, when he started, implemented a customer first approach, and they have built every bit of growth in the last couple of years all around incremental innovation, not about what's the next big thing that we can do, because the staff don't know what that's going to be. The market doesn't know what that's going to be. What they need to fix is their internal systems, operations, marketing, and by listening to their staff, listening to their customers. And this is why he's been able to steer this huge, massive, incredible ship in the right direction. And if somebody like John can do that with a huge organization like Maya that he's had to create and change legacy ideas and lack of systems or systems that existed in order to do that, then you can definitely do that in your medium and growing enterprise.
Yeah, I love it.
It's painful.
Oh, it's always painful.
When you crack through, it's like you've just, wow, why didn't we always do it this way? And it's almost like reinventing your company in a really positive way. And it's not about changing what you've done. It's about making what you're doing better.
I have stolen this quote from Alex Hormozi, which is, success is on the other side of a few hard decisions.
Yeah.
Or growth is on the other side of a few hard decisions. He changes the word, but generally the good stuff is on the other side of some really hard decisions. And sometimes those decisions are going to be like breakdown moments. And sometimes it's going to be, wow, I have to listen to the people. So it is all uncomfortable, because anything that is not in our control, and every founder will tell you that they're not control freaks. Trust me, guys, you are control freaks. That's why you own your own business.
Yeah, righto, mate.
But that loss of control in whatever form it is always going to be deeply uncomfortable. So you have to be okay understanding that you're in that uncomfortable space, but the good stuff happens if you can just push through.
Yes. So, which brings me back to the next thing is
awesome.
Consistency is key. With so many shiny objects, you can easily be misguided by a trend And we've all seen it. You will not get a viral reel, just the basicest form of consistency here. You will not get a viral reel if you follow the trends. You might get a few bits of growth of somebody who found it interesting, but you will not get where you want to go. Being misguided by trends. So back to Sal's point, I was listening to this podcast. Oh my God, stop. It will be the killer of everything that you do around creating change. You have to have rhythms and rituals in place in order to drive incremental performance. You cannot get incremental performance that will lead to big changes if you're constantly changing the benchmark, if you're constantly changing where we need
the delivery
to be
vehicle. Yeah.
The delivery vehicle. You need that
Keeping up with trends is exhausting. It honestly is. Like the amount of time and resources. Yeah, the amount of time, resources, and energy that goes into competing with your competitors or just trying to keep up with trends. It's like, I can tell you right now, if you are listening to this podcast, you do not have the resources to be able to do that. So stop trying. Just do your thing, and you'll be way more successful.
Okay. All right. Another thing which is painful but must happen, and this is where that misguided by trendy things can start to stuff you up, is if you do not have a grip on your benchmarks, your own benchmarks, my benchmarks, because they're different from Sal's benchmark because we run different businesses. We can go and we can look at what the industry benchmark is for our open rates. But at the end of the day, if my target is to get incremental improvements on the revenue that I'm generating from email, I'm not going to look at what's happening in the industry. I'm going to, sure, they can be helpful, but I need to start with my benchmark and set my new target based on what I'm achieving today. Benchmarks are absolutely critical for driving incremental performance and incremental innovation, because you want to drive your ideas in order to improve that one number, whatever it is.
Yeah. There's so much pain in this conversation. I'm just going to hit you up in a minute. Like, what are some things we can do to kind of reduce the pain? But again, these are really hard decisions. So we have a fractional CMO team, and every week they're so good. They come with all the stats, and they will come in and it's like, oh, your CPA is this, your conversion rate on the page is this, your landing page is this. And oh, it's great. Our conversion rate on page is at 6%. Guys, that's actually really, really good. It's up from 5.4%. And I'm like, that's great, but my CPA has doubled and that conversion rate on the back end is not working for me. And so if you're sitting here thinking, I don't know what she's talking about, it's okay. It doesn't really matter. The fact is, I have to keep them accountable. It is my job. Yes, they're hired to do a thing, but it is my job to say what I believe I want the results to be. They can come back and say, well, that's not, and they do. Sometimes they go, well, you're going to have to put more money in. If you want it at that, you need to, and then they'll give me the stats, they'll give me the numbers. Or you can leave it at this, and this is what your results will be. But at the end of the day, I have to be the one who goes, I'm not happy with that. I want you to focus on this. And because if I don't say that, they're just going to keep doing their thing, thinking they're doing okay. Meanwhile, I'm going, you're spending all my money and my conversion rate, my cost per acquisition is disgraceful. It's double what it used to be. So at the moment, they're working on cost per acquisition, right? And as long as we can maintain our conversion rate between 5.4 and 6.2%, I'm okay with that because we've worked out the numbers. But again, hard decisions, hard conversations to have because we're nice. Let's be honest. If you're listening to this, I know that you're too nice. And you feel like you're dressing someone down, but actually people work for you. And when you are clear, then they can be clear in the actions that they're going to take. So
that's right. That's right. So you want to talk about tactics. This is the number one tactic that you can do. I understand my benchmark, great. I know that this is my conversion rate. Maybe it's not as great as what I want it to be, right? Okay, if this is my benchmark, this is where I want it to get to. What are the ideas that we can come up with as a collective in order to improve that number? focus there. Let's go. Let's run an idea slam down session where we generate 8 ideas for 8 minutes. And we might go and do some research in between. I've seen this work. I've seen that work. Oh, we can make this, we can activate this in our platform. We should be adding this widget that'll help us maybe lift our average order value or something like that. Just trying to find things that we might not be able to change the conversion rate, but I can change how much people are spending. Would that help? Oh, yes, that would. That's where incremental innovation comes from. What's my target? What are the ideas for fixing it? That's it.
And that shouldn't be painful, right? That should actually be fun, I think.
That's fun. What gets painful is when our team is at capacity and they had that problem of, I don't have a framework in order to get from this idea into something because my leader is going to change the benchmark on me when they've gone and listened to an effing podcast.
Because I don't do that anymore, remember.
This old sale.
Yeah. But a lot of this is self-awareness. A lot of this is because, like I said, I've been there, done that, and realized the errors of my ways. What else do you have to make it less painful and more fun? Because what I can tell you from experience is, like, the fun is on the other side of a few hard decisions. And the fun, like, sometimes the hard decisions, when you get through them as a team, not even the bonding, but this word, what's this word, Alita, with my hands smushing together, but
amalgamating?
Yeah, maybe. That, I guess,
hands smushing together.
Like the sum of all the parts, like you feel like you've been part of something to get
collective.
Like, the collective happiness to know that you have been, this is like the Maslow's, not hierarchy of needs, what's the other one? The Maslow's, the one where we like self-actualization, the work one. I can't think of it.
Yes.
That one.
Can't remember it though.
Yep. But where there is a part in business where people get past just wanting to go to work and get paid. It's like, I want challenges. I want to be part of a team. I want to be realized for my contribution. Contribution, that was the word I was looking for. So your collective contribution, the intrinsic feeling that someone gets being part of the solution, you can't quantify that with numbers. Like that is
well, you can thing. With retention, staff retention rates, because people are happier at work.
Yeah, this is true. And I think that I see this in sales targets. Like when people implement sales targets, they think they're going to lose their team. And sometimes you do. You'll lose the crappy people who don't even want to be there, who just come to work for a paycheck. But what you actually see is such an exponential increase in growth, not incremental. Like I see sometimes 30% in 30 days because people have something to work towards and it becomes a bit fun. Like, can I do it? Can I not do it? And as long as you're managing those targets and have systems in place when the targets aren't met, then it actually inspires people to do more and to be more. So
because they know, this is the thing, is 94% of people that show up to work don't understand what their job has to do with helping an organization achieve its strategic outcomes.
That's a bit scary, isn't it?
Why am I showing up is the question that people are asking. Terrifying is really what it is. But if you flip that on its head, have good communication, clear in your head what your vision is, listen to what you think what your staff think are the opportunities in your business, you can become the visionary that supports the people who are going to change your business.
Yeah. Just to throw another Hormozi quote in, but this is a Layla Hormozi quote. I'm such a fangirl of her. She has, I'm paraphrasing here, she has a saying that she starts all of her presentations pretty much with, if you could come to work, if you could not turn up at work, if you could just not be there and your business continued to do exactly what it did or it did it better, why are you here? And the answer is you shouldn't be. Like the whole point is to get your business to the point where you can say, this is where I want it to go. And you have the people to get it there. But we get so wrapped up in, this is my business and I have to be here. But in the background, you're going, oh my God, everything relies on me and nobody does anything. And I don't really want to be the face of the business. It's so exhausting. But the flip side is your whole brain is wired around this is my business. Like there's such a disconnect there that if you don't even know what it is you want, then how the heck are your team ever going to help you get there?
That's right.
And that's 94% of people don't know the answer to that question.
They don't know what you want.
No.
They don't know where they're starting from, and they don't know why they're running in a direction. And this is a big problem in corporates is you have people running all over the place. Nobody's actually running to the finish line because they don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
It all starts with listening. It all starts with removing yourself from believing you are the visionary. Your role as the visionary can come back at some point once you have a grip and you have these processes in place. People aren't experiencing burnout and these processes to get to the next level, to have incremental performance, great project management, great meetings, run better meetings, people. I think it's poor meetings and poor communication lead to staying the same, lead to market laggers, not creating market leaders. I think that businesses lose something like $37 billion a year from running poor meetings. Have structure, know who's running them, why are we showing up, have an agreed understanding. Don't just have a meeting when shit hits the fan. Have specific meetings for different times in your project. Like, what are the processes that you go through in a meeting when you're kicking off something? What are the things that you need people to bring to that meeting? What are the activities and decisions that need to be made in that meeting? If decisions aren't going to be made in a meeting, then we shouldn't be showing up.
No.
Then what do you run mid? So you go and put the project plan together. Everybody has then work in progress meetings. Have those and get reports on what's been done the week before, what we're heading into this week, what are our goals for the week, who do we need help from? Then go into we have mid-project retrospectives. A retrospective is a reflective process in which we can use to make things better, or we can use to reinvigorate a strategy, depending on.
In our programs, guys, that's the debrief form.
The debrief form.
The debrief form.
So, and there's so many different ways of doing it, right? It can be stop, start, change, keep going.
Yeah.
It can be what takes the wind out of our sails, what's anchoring us down, what's the thing that's propelling us forward, what are our potential risks that we're heading into that we need to mitigate. And so that you can have active conversations about these so you can navigate them and keep moving forward incrementally. Data. Don't go too big and crazy on your data. I see people, this is what we hear all the time is
so much
I have so much data, I don't know what to do with it. Okay, tell me about your data and practices and rituals. Oh, well, yeah, I look at them daily. Okay, look at them. What does that mean? Well, I take a glance at them and up or down, like I'm just looking for a green or a red. Okay, cool. So we're not actually turning insight into actions. Okay, again, like if we don't have processes around that, then we can't know why like you've said just before, we're working on our CPA right now because I know that that's what we need to do. You're actively in an incremental performance test framework right now. You're actively in there.
Yeah. And so next week we check back and see what happens.
What are your ideas? How do we keep going?
What do we adjust? Yeah. And we did exactly the same thing you said, like the brainstorm. So we sat there together and said, all right, so Kai had some ideas and I had some ideas. And then we agreed that this is what, like he went off and had a bit of a think and talked to his team and he came back and he said, oh, these are the ones we're going to implement. Are you okay with it? And I'm like, yeah, sure, that's fine. But sometimes I say no. Sometimes I say, no, I would really like you to do X instead. And I have to wear the blame for that. If it doesn't work, it was my decision. But they will say, okay, well, this is what our expectation is if we do it your way. And this is the expectation if we do it our way. Which one do you want to choose?
So there's a really interesting way kind of around that, which is do the idea slam down, get everybody's ideas out and then do a blind vote. You don't know who's put those ideas down and you just start voting on them. And you find most of the time it's probably not the founder's idea that people would move ahead with. The founder can be given 2 extra voting points so that if there is a tie, they can call the tiebreaker and that's it.
That's it. Yeah. I have always heard that your integrator gets the tiebreaker because they have a better idea. And
oh yeah, that's good.
They have a better idea of what the team needs and what
Actually
they're capable
needs.
of and
Yeah.
achieving. And so the integrator in that visionary integrator role, maybe that's your ops manager, they're the ones who get the tiebreaker because they have a better understanding of what will happen to the business if that decision gets made.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. But it's just about testing what works for you. We have been talking for a very long time, and this happens when we talk because we have such great conversations. So I'd like to wrap it up, but is there anything that you wanted to cover that I maybe didn't get a time for because I was too busy taking you off in other conversations?
No. Look, I just want to say that we've talked about it from a marketing perspective and a growth perspective. Growth can come in different ways, shapes and forms within an organization, and where to look for innovation is places like finance, marketing, operations, product, brand. Look in every part of your business, then break down what are the opportunities that sit under finance? What are the things that are our bottlenecks? What do we need to change? And then list those out, and then just keep zeroing down on what we call your ambition. So find your ambition first. That is where you start. That's where you set your benchmarks from. Then that's where you innovate from.
Love it. Love it. And pretty much what you just said, that's what we call our 5 pillars. So
Perfect.
Yeah, same. You're listening, guys. What she's saying is find the thing in the pillar that you need to work on, which is what you guys do in your 90-day plans. I have loved this conversation, and I always love talking to you, and you actually didn't make me feel like I didn't know what I was talking about. So that's always a bonus. Either I'm getting smarter or you actively made this conversation palatable to my brain.
Or you're just smart. Let's just...
You guys do training with teams. So you do things like email marketing training, you do growth training, you do leadership training. If people are thinking, I kind of like this chick and I want to find out more, where can they find you?
Awesome. Well, you can find me on LinkedIn. Like I said, there's only one of me on LinkedIn, or you can find us at miacademy.com.au. We've got a whole bunch of free resources there. And we've actually got something that might be really interesting. And if it's okay with you, we've got something called the CMO Blueprint, where we can actually come through and do an audit to tell you what your opportunities might look like. So I'm really happy to do a 50% discount for all of the listeners. If you type in CMO50 at checkout, you can activate that one.
Awesome. Okay. Well, if you can send me the link, I'll make sure we put that in the show notes so people can go straight to it. But thank you for yet another fabulous conversation, Alita Harvey-Rodriguez.
My greatest pleasure. See you, Sal.
See ya. So that's a wrap. I'd love to hear what insight you've gotten from this episode and how you're going to put it into action. If you're a social kind of person, follow me at @TheSelenaKnight and make sure to leave a comment and let me know. And if this episode made you think a little bit differently, or gave you some inspiration, or perhaps gave you the kick that you needed to take action, then please take a couple of minutes to leave me a review on your platform of choice. Because the more reviews the show gets, the more independent retail and e-commerce stores just like yours that we can help to scale. And when that happens, it's a win for you, a win for your community, and a win for your customers. I'll see you on the next episode.